Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all having a good Friday and looking forward to your weekend. And, of course, looking forward to the fact that tomorrow, Leeds United played their final pre-season game under the lights. Not under the lights, but at Ellen Road. It will be the middle of the afternoon. It won't be under the lights. 3 o'clock kickoff, as per. So the purpose of this video, folks, Joe Donahue, Inside Ellen Road Pod, dropped the name Lari Ramzani as a name that was put forward to him, and he believes it makes sense. Obviously, at the minute, it seems like there's a host of targets. I was told Michael Hamilton late last night. Joe Donahue was told Lari Ramzani. Raksaki's obviously another one as well. So it's clear. And all these players play in the left wing position. You know, they all are wingers. So it's clear Leeds United are starting to make moves. One player who also, I guess, plays in that position, but they won't be going for is Ryan Kent. I can assure you of that. Joe was telling us all that on his earlier video, so don't worry about that. And then also we'll chat about Summerville because there's still no deal done yet. This 2-day medical now seems to be taking time. But before we get into it, like I said, folks, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit that notification bell. Please do get your comments in. We'll chat through them as well. But Joe, how are you? And are you relaxed over the Somerville deal? Do you worry that it's... I know I've seen the Graham Smith piece, like yourself as well. I still think it's peculiar, Joe, though. I can't lie to you that it's taken this long.
Yeah, I was also told that most of the medical team apparently are with the team in America. So they're working on a skeleton crew, which is why they've had to break it up a bit as well. And then there's people trying to get the hotels to them.
See, that stuff doesn't wash with me. And the reason I say that is because I remember when we signed JKA, we did it in a fucking hotel room. If you need to get a player, you get a player. You hire staff. You hire staff.
As long as you need the medical.
Do you know what I mean?
You can do the medical anywhere. Like you could do the medical
exactly.
in Leeds. You know, you could get the results from Leeds and do it that way. But yeah, it's a strange one. And then if you take the two different sides of Sky Sports who don't seem to be singing off the same hymn sheet, Dermot Sheff is correcting himself to make sure that his initial post of deal is done, let's go, kind of, and Romano the same. And then you've got Florian Plettenberg in Sky Germany saying, nope, no fee agreed, no personal terms agreed just yet. It's taking time. Yeah. But then Dermot Sheff comes back and says, oh no, it's just a 2-day medical. I don't know many 2-day medicals, Joe, do you?
No, that's what I mean. That's what I found. And the West Ham side fans obviously were like, well, we always do this. And I was like, well, why? Why do you do it over 2 days? Yeah. What's the point? You know what I mean? I can do a video now, Joe, but I mean, why would I do it over 2 days? I'd just get it done now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's pointless, isn't it? It is a bit strange. But
yeah.
Do you think he's going to be a West Ham player? I don't think there's any issues there.
No doubt that he's going to be a West Ham player. Yeah, we just have to focus on what we're doing next to move on from. Unfortunately, he's gone, and that's the sad reality of it. But it's, as the saying goes, no point crying over spilt milk. It's the past now. He will be a former Leeds United player, and it's important them to push forward and focus on who the present players are and who the future players are going to be. And I did I like Ben Cross's piece today as well, where he talked about the possibility of Willie Gnonto getting a bigger role in the team as well now in this new possible 3-4-3 system. And like I said on my news channel, my news video yesterday, it'd be really cool, I think, if he was to take on the number 10 shirt, take on the left-hand side, take on the mantle, and then be the player that helps to shoot Leeds back into the Premier League on his favoured side, give him that bigger piece of responsibility. Yeah. But you just don't know if he's keen to stay because his best mate's gone. That's going to be a big adjustment for him, and apparently his housemate as well. So that's a huge adjustment for the player.
And obviously, if a Premier League club come a knock in, it's hard to turn it down. I'm still convinced Palace might have a look. Everton could go again. You just don't know, do you? Like even a Forest, I don't know. It has gone quiet on the Gnonto stuff, but let's be honest. Up until 3 days ago, it had gone quiet on Somerville, and now it's a West Ham player. Do you know what I mean?
If Everton sell 2 players, Braithwaite and Calvert-Lewin, if they sell the 2 of them, bang, there's money there again. Then they come in for Willie, and then so until the window closes, the question marks for me are still over the heads of Willie and still over the head of Vauber to see will they still be here when the season kicks off. And I think we'll get an idea tomorrow when we see the team sheet and the squad come out and who's in that team and where Farkas head's at. Yeah. But this transfer window runs beyond that, and again, according to Graham Smith's piece today, the 49ers won't be in any rush to jump right now for a replacement. They're going to use the time that they've got to get the right person in.
And they have a tendency to do that, don't they? They did that in previous windows. They've operated a bit like that, haven't they?
Well, if you panic, you pay more.
Yeah, true.
And that's the point. And you might not necessarily get the right there. You might end up with a Ryan Kent that you just end up going, well, why have we got him in our team? You know what I mean?
Or a Jaden Anthony.
Jaden Anthony, where you're like, yeah, he's fine, but he's fine, and not going to shoot you into the Premier Division. So, yeah, sometimes and what's there right now, again, assuming Willie stays and doesn't throw his ties at the Prem and is happy to stay around the place. You've got Dan James, Willie Nonto, Georgie Rudder, Brendan Aronson.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're okay right now. You're okay right now. So, but it still does need to be plugged. And for me, I'd still want to plug the Jaden Anthony hole as well.
Yeah. So two maybe, additional.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. Maybe a younger winger coming in to be the person who fills that gap.
Yeah. Because the reaction, obviously, I was told, I can hear a bit of echo, Jern. You did go really quiet just a second ago.
Yeah, my PC's acting weird today. Give me 1 second.
I think that sounds a little bit better anyway now. It sounds a little bit better. Obviously, folks, just to give you a little bit more meat on the bones with the Mitchell Hamilton... Mitchell. You've got Mitchell brothers in my head now. Micah Hamilton deal. Obviously, I was told that a little bit like Joe, obviously, Joe Donoghue, but he's a journalist. He's going to hear a lot more than me. I'm not trying to compare the two by any stretch of the imagination. But... much like Lari Ramzani, it's a name that he's heard, and obviously he says we hear a lot of names, but it's a name that I've looked at and said actually that would make sense financially in terms of the player that comes into the side, etc. And I did want to get Joe's opinion and also using the chat, because having a look at the comments to the Micah Hamilton vid, a lot of it has been, no, we shouldn't be getting a loan. Why should we train another players? When I did do a poll the other day on Raksaki where like 70% said they'd be happy with him as a replacement. But then when you say like a Micah Hamilton or even in this case Lari Ramzani, Joe, would you? Because I did just listen to the Inside Ellen Road pod and Graham made a good point of like, with all this money you've brought in, ideally you want a big name signing. How would you feel if Summerville exits and they bring in Micah Hamilton, Raksaki or a Lari Ramzani, relative unknown to the masses, and not someone like a Morgan Whittaker, who everyone knows, or a Sammy Schmodic? Do you know what I mean? How do you think that would go down? Because I'm actually quite relaxed about it as long as they work, but I think a lot would be like, they're doing it bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But look, anything they do right now, there's a very... I'm going to call them a minority, a vocal minority of fans who will just say 49ers out. I loved some of the stuff I said today, and I got a bit salty with a couple of people on Twitter because genuinely I'm sick of the negativity being directed towards my Twitter, me being tagged in stuff that's just constantly negative. I have to read that all day, and I don't want to read it because it's negative and it makes me feel negative. So just because you don't know a player, and let's be honest, 95% of the fan base don't know every single player in the world, right? We don't know everybody. No. There's a scouting team in place who know better than we do, who know better than any of our fans do. Just because you want Morgan Whittaker, great. That's because you know him. Did you know him when we were in the Premier Division? When we were playing the last year in the Premier League, did you know who Morgan Whittaker was? Most of them didn't. But now he's played against us a couple of times, and he's a big name. Sammy Smollick's the same. Most would have touched him 2 years ago. But now all of a sudden it's, well, these are big players and we need to get these in, and they're the statement signings. I don't necessarily believe you need to blow a huge amount of money to get the right player. I think you need to get the right player, full stop. And that's it. The value for me isn't the money. The value for me is the person you get in the door. And if he's the right profile and the right player, Jesus, there was a time where it was seen as a good thing to not waste money. It was like, if we can save a few million here and a few million there and get a decent player and a bargain rate, oh, geez, we got a bargain there. And we've got some bargains already. We've got Ampadu as an absolute steal. I still think Joe Roden at 10 million is a good price for a very good player at this level. Yeah. And then you look at Jaden Bogle, I think is a smart signing for not a huge amount of money either.
Steal, that'll be.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good value there without going mental. There's a portion of the fan base won't be happy unless we sign a massive player. But let's not forget, we did it last year. We spent 10 million quid on Pirro. Forget what you've seen of Pirro for the last 12 months, because 12 months ago, we weren't judging him off this season. We were judging him off what he had done 3 seasons before. And it was double digits. It was 20, 22. And people were over the moon about that signing. Then it didn't deliver what we thought it would deliver. So you don't always get a guarantee by spending huge amounts of money on a player. It's important to get the right one. But I wouldn't necessarily want to bring in an unproven entity in that position either, unless the decision has already been made that either Nonto or Rutter will replace Cree. And then it's a different player that comes in. And Baron Cross said that today as well. Leeds replacement for Chris Summerville doesn't necessarily have to be a winger, because we've got lots of them and players who can play in those positions. So it could be a 10, it could be a 9, it could be somebody else. But they've got a lot of work to do. People won't be happy until they start seeing bodies come in. But then there is another portion who just want shiny toy all the time. As soon as the first signings in, give it 3 days, and it's like, where's the signings? Where's the signings? Yeah. It's not our money we're spending. It's easy to spend somebody else's money, you know?
Yeah. I was that guy a couple of weeks ago, but I'm relaxed now. It's mad.
Tell you
what relaxed me was the Harrogate game, and then finding out Vobran that was staying, and I reassessed the squad, and I was like, "Nah, we're good again." The Beard of Peacock, won't happen, mate. Reece Nelson's on about 100 grand a week. Leicester want him. West Ham looked at him. He's not come to the Championship, pal. Thank you to Ben for becoming a member. While I remember, folks, as well, I've got regular watchers of my show will know that you've been complaining about my fire alarm for quite some time. And I actually went and changed it the other day, if you follow me on Instagram. And then Joe responded to my Instagram post and went, "Oh, was that your fire alarm? Because I went and changed mine." So Joe actually went out and changed his fire alarm because he thought it was his.
The last stream you did, I could hear the beeping. It was like, "Feck, the carbon monoxide alarm's gone again." Right, I got a battery for that. Went downstairs, got a battery, changed it.
Brilliant, honestly. You will be able to hear seagulls by me, mate. They're on steroids in Sunderland, honestly. They're massive. They wake me up every morning as well. I'm not too far from the beach, really, see. Right, Lari Ramzani. I'll quickly run through some things that I've had a look. Again, don't know much about him. Just heard what Joe had to say, seen what people have said on Twitter, done a quick Google search as well. So he's a Belgian professional footballer who currently plays for Spanish side Almeria, a winger for them. They have just been relegated though. So he's represented Belgium at various youth levels, began his youth career at Anderlecht before moving to Charlton, and then was at the enemy, Manchester United, for a little while. He did make his senior debut for Manchester United in the Europa League against Astana back in 2019. However, in 2022, he signed with Almeria, where he's become a key player, contributing significantly to their promotion initially to La Liga, but as I say, they were relegated last season. He's got pace, agility, exceptionally quick, creates goal-scoring opportunities, great dribbling skills as well, excellent ball control, can navigate through tight spaces, can play on either wing or as a forward as well, which we've seen a lot with some of the names that are mentioned. Great work rate and has great finishing. I did see as well from Ethan online on Twitter. What did he have to say now? I think it was quite the comment. He said basically he's a discount Mane. And I use Mane because he's the most well-rounded winger I've seen in my lifetime. So he says Lari Ramzani is a discount Mane. Now, Ethan is a Barcelona fan, much like Oscar. These will have had sight of this lad on a regular basis. But yeah, maybe his goals and assists don't make you go, wow. But there is more to football than just goals and assists. Although in his position, yeah, maybe. But you've got to understand Almeria, relegated, he'd be coming to Leeds United top end of the Championship. So that was the name that Joe mentioned. I'm not saying it's a massive link, a bit like when I heard about Micah Hamilton. It's just a name that's put forward. It might never come to the fore. Leeds United might not have even had a look. I'm not sure. I think Joe Donahue said as well, with them being relegated, he could be got for about 5 million, which is quite cheap, isn't it? It sounds like our ballpark as well. I'm not convinced we will do a big marquee signing this summer.
No. I don't necessarily think we will. I don't think we necessarily need to, as long as, again, it's the right player. When you get to the Premier League, that's when we're going to start seeing that has to happen. You have to see much bigger players come in and add it to the squad. But, I mean, he's 62 games in La Liga? Yeah. One of the best in top 5 leagues in the world. He's played 62 times in that league. Yeah. Likes to tackle by all accounts. He's got a couple of yellow cards in his name as well. That. So he likes a bit of niggle. So yeah, 6 goals, 7 assists. But his Belgium 21 numbers are good. 8 goals and 3 assists for Belgium. Nice. So decent young player. But again, it probably won't please an awful lot of the people who want a big marquee sign until you walk out on the pitch and you see him do something. Then you're like, ooh, okay, maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I
just want to, Paul, this is wrong as well, bro. This is just wrong. Because Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton all took loans from top 4 clubs, top 6 clubs. We did none of that. Well, we took Rodon, but I can go through Leicester's squad, like Fatawu, who they brought in from Turkey, to be fair, is a youngster. They also brought in Callum Doyle from Manchester City. Ipswich, one of their best performers, Amari Hutchinson, again, came in from Chelsea. Southampton, who've now bought him for 20 million, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, again, from Manchester City. So this whole notion, I mean, I could go back to Sheffield United, I could go back to every single club, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, they all take loans. They have religiously, teams that do well in this division and get promoted, 9 times out of 10 get loans from top 6 clubs. Leeds, over the years, have actually been immune to doing it, it would seem, but we need to start doing it for me. We should be picking the best of the bunch from the
United, a whole squad. An entire squad nearly, and then that was their mistake when they got promoted.
Yeah, Forest,
then like,
exactly.
Our team was nearly loans in the Premier Division, and most of them were young. So, and also, most of our side is young. Like, we've got a lot of young, up until last season, unproven championship level players as well. So, look, until you see them on the pitch, I wouldn't be going nuts about it just yet.
No, exactly.
But I will say, Paul is dead right. This is a do or die season, because if we don't go up this year, it's fire sale next year. They're all go.
I'm just seeing this. Fatawu was from Ghana, 2nd division. I mean, he wasn't. He was from Sporting, bro. I don't know where. He was at Sporting, mate. So, yeah, I don't know. There you go. Maybe he originally started there. I'm not sure. But Ben White was the one we did well with getting. Yeah, and I think even that, though, Ben White was at Brighton, who were, at the bottom end of the
on loan in League 2, and then back to Brighton and then to Leeds.
Yeah, he'd done it. I think he went Newport, Peterborough, Leeds, Brighton, then Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So, I think, a lot of the responses even to Michael Hamilton, it's like we turn our nose up and go, why should we train another team's player and all this? And I just don't get it, unfortunately. Again, it comes back to that thing, Jer, we're Leeds United, we're a championship club. We have to, unfortunately, act like that, because that's what we are.
And outside of 3 years in the last 20, we've been in the Championship or League One. So, the bulk of it says that we're not a top tier club, but we're a very big club within the Championship, and we will be a big club again. Like, we will go back into the Premier League. I've no doubt we get promoted this year. But there's some lovely hidden gems playing in Premier League too. Like, we look at our own under-21 side and we're like, this player should be in the first team. This player should be in the first team. These are players that are a better team and are a better standard than what we have in our under-21 side in the Premier League too. And you're bringing them in. Like, Shea Charles at Manchester City was a player Leeds looked at a couple of years ago. I think he's on the move again this year, but he's going to be a smashing player when he matures as well. So there's plenty of opportunity for these players, but you do want to wrap them around experience as well. There's
100%, But we have that, right? Like, we have good championship experience.
We do now, yeah. And there's I don't really worry about having a young winger, because young wingers tend to be a little bit cocky and like running at people and going at people. They tend to have a bit of swagger about them. So
fearless, aren't they? Fearless, man.
They usually are, yeah. I mean, look our own young wingers like Nanto's. He came in the Swiss league and there wasn't a huge amount thought of what he was going to do. Chris Summerville comes from Feyenoord's youth academy. Wasn't a huge amount thought of what he would do. 35 million of Georgie Rutter from a Hoffenheim. You're not expecting a huge amount. Bang. This year or last year he's phenomenal for us, and this year he'll be again. So there's some lovely gems out there, and I wouldn't judge if you don't know much about that. I don't know a huge amount about Lari Ramzani, but
neither do I.
If the club look at him and think the profile of the players what they need, and bearing in mind what they brought in last summer, and I really thought they did a cracking job last summer on the players they brought in, then maybe he fits the system, maybe he fits the style. Yeah. Maybe it's not even him, maybe it's somebody else.
Yeah. Let me just respond to my arch nemesis. We have been immune to it, mate, because again, you've just mentioned 2 names, that's it. And one didn't work out because Bielsa didn't fancy him as his 9. And Jack Harrison, prior to coming to us, I'm not talking... Look, Jack Harrison was never getting close to that City first team. Had spent loan, he'd been on loan at Stoke, had been on loan at Middlesbrough, and was at New York City before that, right?
Failed loan at Middlesbrough by all accounts.
Yeah, it was. Really it was poor. Yeah, Tony Pulis did not take a look at him whatsoever. When I'm talking about someone like Micah Hamilton, these are players that are on the cusp of breaking into the first team. Like your James McAtees, who did well at Sheffield United, Taylor Harwood-Bellis. I'm not talking players that are not really ever going to make the grade. Maybe like a Darko Jaby, for example, who was never going to make the grade at City. So therefore, we're happy to sell. We're talking about a player that it's like, we'll loan him, but you know, we're going to keep eyes on him to see how well he does because we might want to keep him. I'm talking that level of quality. Okay, Eddie might fall into that bracket, but it didn't really work. I just think comparable to other teams, we probably haven't done enough of that, personally.
Well, Eddie's off to Monaco now, and that's the level he's going to, French League.
Yeah, exactly. And don't even, I mean, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Stop it, Sean. You're being a tit. So I'm just going to move on from it. Do you, in terms of what we've been linked with getting in, i.e. left wing, centre midfielder, left back, are you content with that just being the business?
I would like possibly, again, depends on Vauber, another centre back, and I would like possibly another centre. But yeah, we've got one CM fullback, crease, some other replacement, maybe one more winger, maybe one more. You know, just again that young player for the Jaden Anthony one, and then I think you've got a really stacked team and a thick bench as well. So you have tons of options. Then you're not looking at that bench thinking they're average. You look at that bench going, yeah, I can use all of them, and they could actually put pressure on the players that are in the starting 11, which you need. The more competition they have and players breathing down their neck, the better they perform.
This is true. 100%. I think whenever Bamford's had really good periods is when he's had a bit of competition, really, to be honest.
His best spells have always been that.
Yeah.
When Eddie was there, ironically.
When Eddie was there, when Rodrigo came in the Premier League, you know, all these different times he's actually come to the fore. Last season even when things are. But I think he might have too much ahead of him with Mateo Joseph this time around. Mateo Joseph just looks different gravy.
He looks like he's ready to go. Yeah,
he does. In terms of your lineup tomorrow, Joe, we play Valencia. We expect that at least 70 minutes, maybe 60, 70 minutes of the team that we expect to play Portsmouth the week after. Who's your 11?
Assuming everyone's fit, Melier, Bogle, Rodon, Stroke, Firpo, Ampadu, Rothwell, James, Nanto, Rutter, Joseph.
So would James come straight back in? You're putting Aronson on the bench, yeah?
Assuming he's fit. Yeah, assuming he's fit. Otherwise, he possibly does what he did last time, puts Willie back on the right and puts Brendan on the left, tucked in a little bit. Maybe he did against Schalke. He could do that again. But that's what I'd like to see. But we need to see if Dan James' adductor problem is a problem again, because that was a problem last year.
It was, wasn't it? It was. So we're likely to see Rothwell in midfield and Bogle right back. Then the rest we'll have all seen before. Is that what we're thinking? Yeah. Do you not think it's harsh on Gruev? Because I just think with Gruev getting ahead of the 9 on a few occasions now, that he might be being deployed differently, and therefore he could start in midfield with Ampadu.
Farke has said he thinks he's going to have a very big season for Leeds, and he thinks he'll be a very important player. I love Ilya Gruev. I really like him. I talked an awful lot about it last year, but what I love what he does off the ball, like his positioning where he closes passing lanes, so players have to go around the outside of the midfield. Like he does a lot of stuff that's not visible because it's not necessarily him crunching into tackles. It's just positional stuff, and it's good positional stuff. I really like Ilya Gruev, and I really like this new version as well, where he's getting in the box because he can clearly finish. Like I mean, we talked about Hanover. Like he went around a first choice goalkeeper from Hanover and scored a lovely goal. So he can do it, and he nearly scored against Schalke as well because the keeper dropped it. And he was the first person to react and poke it. So I wouldn't be against that either. I mean, this is the great part. There's the options. I mean, if you start with the team that I mentioned, you've got Bamford, Pirro, Gruev, 3, Vauber, Aronson. There's 5 of your bench. That's your best 5 of them. And then add 2 of the kids onto that, or whoever else is around, you know?
Yeah.
Byram, 6.
If we go back to last season, Joe, we could pick our 11 week in, week out without fail.
Oh, it's so predictable.
I think now there is conversation to be had.
You weren't starting Helde, you weren't starting Shackleton, you weren't starting Cooper, and they were on the bench. You weren't starting Creswell, they were on the bench. And you were lucky if they even got off the bench at any point. So half the bench was unusable last year. And it was only 3 or 4 players that came off. What I just mentioned there are 6 players, and you add Cairns or a goalkeeper to that mix as well. Oh, sorry, Darlow to that. And that's your bench. Now, of that bench, 6 players of that bench could come onto that pitch easily for me and play. Easily.
Yeah.
And not bring the team down. And in some cases, actually bring it up again. So I'm not worried about that. But we do need to add these gaps that we have, because if we do get a couple of injuries, like for example, if Dan James is out, right, now Brendan has to come in and you have to bring a Charlie Crew onto the bench, and then you got to, there's a kid on the bench, and ideally you'd like to just flesh that out and finish off the job. But they will. I'm sure they will. If they don't do it, Joe, if we see a repeat of
of course,
leaving it a little short and thinking we'll be fine, and
they
Angus
have to be
Kinnear's been around
criticised,
long.
don't they? They have to be criticised.
Have to be. And I will. And 100% I will, because Angus Kinnear has been around long enough and has been part of boards that have made that decision several times. We didn't need a 9. We'd be grand. Then we needed a 9. It was too late. We don't need another central midfielder. We've got Adam Forshaw coming back from injury. Adam Forshaw never came back from injury, ever, really. And we didn't have a central midfielder, and we had a problem there. So every time we've left ourselves short, it's cost us either our position in the league or potential places. They can't do that this time around. They have to learn from the lessons of the past. I think that they will do it. I think that they'll get it right. I think they'll bring in players and they'll flesh out that squad. And I think if they don't, they lose their house on this investment. They absolutely lose their house on this, because next year the parachute payment goes to like 15%. It's a tiny amount of money. And you're going to have to sell Rutter. You're going to have to sell Aronson. You're going to have to sell Ampadu. You're going to have to sell Stroke. It's a worst case scenario. So for me, if they don't get it right this year, they lose. Leeds won't be worth as much as they bought Leeds for, even though Leeds weren't valued at what they got at a discount from the relegation. But if they don't get it right this year, Leeds won't be worth the 250 million that they paid for them. And they want billions from the club. It won't even be worth that. So they have to get this right. It's very important for lots of. And Farke himself will know this is the season that has it. And he's to prove a point as well. He has to get us up.
Yeah. No, he does. You're right. You're 100%, mate. There's no excuses anymore. Jack B says, Spurs fan here. Is Joe familiar with Donnelly, who's a cam, and Lancashire centre forward? I have spoken about Lancashire on this channel a few weeks back now about potential loans from the Premier League. He's a striker who's been smashing it at Premier League 2 level. He said they're starting in pre-season for our first team. Alistair Gold says champ teams circling for loans. 60 G&A between them in Premier League 2 and Cups last season. Will Lancashire, I do know about. I'm not sure on Donnelly. There's also the guy, Mickey, what's he called? I can't remember his name, but he's been smashing it. But I think he's a winger and he's close to the first team. I forget his name now. You might be able to tell me, Jack B. But listen, I would love Will Lancashire, but I just think we have...
Get some jokes as well.
That's what I mean. We have too many striker options. Well, I say too many, but we can't really bring in a young striker when we've got our own. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't make sense in that respect. But Will Lancashire, I don't know much about Donnelly, if I'm honest. Thanks for the super chat, though, bro. Tony Abrams says, hey, here's something. Where's the official announcement? Well, I was told he was going to Blades a couple of weeks ago, and there's nothing still. No. So he's not going there.
I did see something today. Okay. So Blackburn move is off. Yeah, they've gone elsewhere. Watford had a look and spoke to him, but nothing. And there is rumour that he could head outside the country. Leeds will have something planned for him when he gets his next club.
Okay. Yeah. So they'll do an announcement. Yeah, of course.
Apparently, and I think it was Baron Cross or Graham Smith said it, that Leeds have plans for Cooper when he signs for another club. They've got a thing, but they won't do that till his future is sorted.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think a lot of people, because there hasn't been an official announcement, but I agree with you, until he's got a club, it's sort of pointless, isn't it, really? Because, he needs to, because I'm assuming, I wonder if the contract's still on the table, although it's probably been rescinded now, because I think Farkas said he's not coming back, can he?
He's gone. He won't come back to Leeds.
Yeah.
I saw somebody say there's not a backroom role for him. I think that would be great to see, but he's 31 years of age. He's not dead yet. Let the guy play for a bit longer while he still can. Yeah. I mean, he could go off to Saudi and pick up a nice big wage there for a couple of years and then come back and be a coach at Leeds. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be. Here we go. Tom Barclay has just tweeted, who sent me it. Plenty of loan interest in Jamie Donnelly, who was shone at left back in pre-season. But he's a cam. But, I mean, I guess in pre-season it doesn't really matter because Archie Gray's been playing at centre-back for the Manny. So, apparently loads of Championship and League One want him. Yeah, okay. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Thank you for Helen for tagging us in that one. We do need a left back, and ideally we do want a loan, right? I don't want us to buy a left back until we get promoted. If we get promoted, How do
Yeah, I
you
think a
feel
young
about that?
lone left back would be a smart move.
Yeah.
Cover.
No point buying one, is there, when you've got Firpo with a year left? You might as well get
Yeah.
promoted and then buy, like, the one.
Unless you're buying his replacement who has potential to be that, but it's one season, so it would have to be somebody who's pretty close to breaking into a team. And then those kind of players will want minutes, so you probably won't get them then.
That's
so
maybe
it's,
why,
yeah, I think,
you know, what's his name? Sorry, the one who went to Sheffield United, Burrows, for example. He'd have been ideal, but obviously they wanted to play now, won't he? You know what I mean? So
he'd be second choice to Firpo. And rightly so after the season Firpo had.
Yeah, 100%. I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't know. Just go Saudi and retire. I think he probably would at this point if he was offered that. Why do you think he's not accepted one yet? Do you think it's contract length and all that?
It's length. Apparently, it keeps coming back down to length. Apparently, he wants 2 years, and clubs won't offer. But then, I think Cooper needs to maybe reassess.
Yeah. Maybe.
Himself, 31 years of age. Most clubs aren't, and you've been injured a bit as well. So clubs aren't going to take a gamble and give you 2 years.
No, I agree with you, mate. It's and he probably will have to fall on his sword. But like what he's doing by doing that as well, he's like losing out on clubs because now he's missed out on the Blackburn move, and because they've gone elsewhere for a centre back now. So it's like, yeah. Definitely. Amas, the Manchester United left back, well thought of. I think he might stick close to the first team maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if Man United would be willing to do business on a loan with us as well, with one of their hot prospects, not Cameron fucking Borthwick Jackson, who was mentioned earlier, who I don't know if he's even playing football anymore. He was shocking, wasn't he?
Asked him for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, didn't really work out for him there.
No.
Is there anything else, Joe? It's quiet, isn't it? To say we're waiting on Somerville, it's just really quiet from an incoming perspective. But Graham Smith tweeted out earlier and said, look, people at the club told him, we don't want people to know names anymore, you know. And we know that Ramazani used to be on the blower to Fabrizio and previously, but it's just not like that anymore, is it?
No, he said that Leeds believe that leaking information will affect the business they want to do. Mm-hmm. So the days of Leeds leaking info are gone. So they won't be doing that unless it's, there'll probably be the odd time where it's beneficial to them to do something, and they might do something. That's where the Daily Mail comes into it for me. That appears to be the source and the mouthpiece for Leeds. If they need to get something out into the media, they'll go through the Daily Mail and let them do it. Or at least they did last season. So, I'd like McNulty at left back. I think he's a good player who could deputise under Firpo and then come into the team next year, and push with another left back, have a bit of competition in the Premier League. Good player, very highly thought of back here at home. A lot of Irish people and Irish sports journalists expect him to be pushing into the Irish first team in a couple of years' time and playing a left back. So good player, can play centre back as well, gives you options there as well. You could see Max Vober compete for that left back position as well, but then Leeds need to bring in a centre back. So they need to have one player, either Vober's going to do the left back job, which I just don't see because he's not as mobile as I'd like.
He just looks clunky as well in the final third. I felt when I seen him in pre-season, I thought you just look clunky getting that far up the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think he'll be here at the end of the window?
I do, yeah. I do. You're not convinced, are you, Joe? You think he's a goner, don't you?
Yep. Yeah. But if he stays, great. Fair play to him if he does stay. I mean, again, we'll see the team sheet tomorrow. If he's not in that squad tomorrow, he's off,
That's a good point.
in my opinion.
That's a good point if he's not in the squad. This is unusual, Paul. It's not in capitals. You're not shouting for once. That's nice. You mustn't be.
What have we sold already?
I know, like outside of Somerville, which we knew yesterday. Nothing's changed.
And also all the dead weight that we got rid of that were out on loan last year, and then the players that were sitting on the bench that weren't playing football last year. Outside of that, Archie, Kamara, Cree, 3. You brought in Bogle. Who else? Rothwell. Cairns, man. But you still need to bring in 3.
Just on this, Jamie, we've spoke about this before. You don't buy a centre back to then ensure that Debayo never sees minutes, though. I don't understand. Like, I genuinely don't understand your logic in that, bro. It's like, well, you don't think Debayo's good enough, so therefore you just want to buy another player so that Debayo doesn't get minutes. I don't understand the logic, Jamie. We don't need another centre back if Vober stays, because we have. I'll list them for you: Rodon, Strauch, Vober, Ampadu if needed, and then Debayo. That's 5. We don't need another. Even Byram could slot in there if drastic.
Well,
Just spending money and wages when it's not needed. I personally think anyway.
Yeah.
We definitely need
gotta look
another
at the gaps.
midfielder. We need a left back, and we need to replace Summerville. That's
Look,
it, I think.
just look at the gaps in the squad, and you're looking for 2 options in every single position. That's what you want. Not necessarily 2 players, but 2 options in every position. Do you have 2 players that can play in a role? Right back right now, you've got Bogle and you've got Byram. Centre backs, you've got 4 or 5 players who can play. And I want to see the Bio coming through. What I've seen so far is tidy. And you need to give him some exposure to the first team to see if he can develop into that position. Left back, you've got 1. That's one gap that needs to be filled.
That's a massive one,
Your midfield, you've got Rothwell, Ampadu, and you've got Gruev. You probably need one more. Charlie Cruz thereabouts as well, but you probably need one more experienced head in there to be just solid with that. Winger wise, you're fine. Probably one more. 10, you've got Rutter, Aronson. Nonto can even play in there if he has to. Rothwell can push into that position as well as he needs to. Your Pirro's there as well. You're kind of full there. Strikers, Bamford, Joseph, Pirro, Georgie can play there again if needed. And regardless of what we think and what we would want, the club would look at it. And I said this the other day as well. They'll look at the manager and go, "You've got players of a high level that we've spent money on in those positions. It's your job to make them tick. That's your job as the coach to get the best out of them. And if you can't, then the question marks are around the coach's ability to coach a football team. So it's where the gaps are. 10 fullback right now, replace Cree, maybe get a young player in wide as an option, or maybe it's Sam Chambers who comes through from the under 18s. Maybe it's him. We have to wait and see. But right now, just fill those couple of gaps right now. Try and hang on to as many as you can.
Yeah.
And we should be okay.
100%. Jamie, now you're just trying to do something to prove, because let's not say Gruev and Vorba, I'm assuming them 2 are left backs. Like, yes, they can play there, or Byram, but it's not the same, is it?
But they're not specialist players and specialist positions.
Yeah. I wonder what's happened to Monteiro. Do you know anything about that, Joe? Like,
he's only 19. He's injured 21. He's been doing fine. Nothing spectacular. I think people saw when he came in, expected him to go straight into the first team or be competing for the first team. He's not there. He's okay. He's doing fine, but he's definitely not setting the world on fire.
Yeah, no, it's we was expecting him to be like a next best thing, really, weren't we? That's what we were hearing, like Portuguese, But listen,
could still do it.
Yeah, he could, but Victor and co, they signed a lot of good, but they did also get some dross as well, didn't it? And it might fall into that. Actually, that failed, but we wouldn't be getting this money for Somerville if it weren't for him and Nonto and all this. You have to, they did do some good.
They did blow a huge amount of money when you start adding up the millions. I mean, what they spent on Jaffe, nearly close to 2 million, was it, on Jaffe at one point? So they spent a lot of money on players that didn't really smash it the way they thought they'd smash it. And then there was your man Usman Boy, who came in and just left on loan and ran out his contract, and that was nuts. So
Paul Pogba's best mate him, so it figures really when you look at the career trajectory of both. Yeah.
I think it did it last year where we listed out all the players that Victor had signed, young players versus and then who had basically made and who had gone, and what the purchase price was versus the sale price, and it wasn't good. Somerville fixes that for him. Like, that balances the money part of it out, but they brought a lot of players in that left and barely ever featured for Leeds.
Yeah, I remember like Powell Sabicki and J. Roy Grott and players like this.
Powell Sabicki banned from football now.
Yeah, did he get done for betting or something like that? Was it? Yeah, mad. I had a bad feeling about this Somerville transfer. Wow, I still find it mad, that it's
West Ham
not
fan.
Gone through. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I know. But according to ex-West Ham employee, which unfortunately is stuffed behind a paywall, but when I keep seeing him like just retweeting people saying everything's fine, don't worry about it, because ex-West Ham employees said on such and such, which he has a Patreon, I think. So this was 48 minutes ago. Never a meltdown here. I sit and wait for ex-West Ham employee to confirm all deals and who we are chasing. Keep up the great work, geez. He said, as far as I know, everything's still going to plan. That was an hour ago. But it almost feels like, why? Why is it? I don't know. I don't know, bro. What are we saying?
Good for us if he doesn't. I kind of thought when I saw the wobble yesterday,
hijack,
yes.
Club. Yeah.
I thought Cree's got a phone call and he's been told, just hang on a sec. there was other rumors, and they are very much just rumors, that his agency weren't overly impressed with him accepting this move and wanting this move because they thought he could get a bigger move later on in the window. Therefore, they would get a bigger commission. But that's not necessarily true. It's very much rumor territory stuff right now. But yeah, you did think yesterday, go, oh, well, Liverpool and Chelsea having a sniff. Please get involved, Chelsea. Please get involved. Please get involved.
Yeah.
Then you can get your marquee signings.
Yeah, exactly. You have a show after this, don't you, Joe?
Myself and Stats are doing a match preview for tomorrow's game. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the plan on it? Because when's it due to go live?
Oh, we're going live. We're live. So we're going live at 7.
7. Okay. Let's. Should we? Do you want me to hold out till close to that time?
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
Have to do a thumbnail, yeah.
Oh dear, right, you got work to do. Sean Healy says Willie's been on the blower, yeah, but I didn't even know they lived together. By the way, I genuinely didn't know they lived together. But there you go.
There's a guy called Dean James. I don't know if you know him.
No.
Says father and author Charlie, lifelong gunner, sometimes aggregate. And then he's the guy who's put the post out. He's got 20,000 followers. Leeds United have tentatively inquired with Arsenal about Reece Nelson. But again, it's not from a journalist. It's not from a reliable source. It's just a dude on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I would take him, genuinely. Don't get me wrong. I just thought, why?
And there's no plans for him when nobody else is interested in him, then maybe. But who pays his wages? Because
it's too much. Too much. Jason, it's Leeds United The View. Leeds United The View. I can ask him, Joe, what's your channel name?
Leeds United The View.
There you go. We're not getting Ryan Kent. I don't think we'd sign Reece Nelson. I think it'll be a largely unknown. Could it be Lari Ramzani? Could it be Mika Hamilton? You know, Joe Donahue makes a good point with the Raksaki stuff. And I said the other day, the only way Raksaki comes is if one of Summerville or Nonto stays. But also, would Raksaki want to compete for a place, having basically missed a whole year of his career? I'm not saying we can guarantee him minutes, but could another club be saying, look, we'll give you it? Do you know what I mean? If we've still got Nonto and James here, then Ratsaki's in competition, isn't he? Yeah,
and there's 18 clubs interested in Raksaki.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there? There's a lot.
So there's plenty there can go, you can play. Do you want to play? You can play.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's why we lost out on a Carvalho, for example. But I'm okay with that, by the way. But, yeah.
You won't get him this year looking at his pre-season. He's been excellent for Liverpool so far in his pre-season. And they haven't bought anybody yet.
They haven't, no. They haven't. Which I think they will. But, yeah. Really, St. Clair says we don't need another winger. Maybe not, and maybe we'll have a look to a player that can play
it's very possible,
in a 10, for example, or can play in a host of positions. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Well, I do think we will leave it there, Joe. We've squeezed as much time out of that as possible. There is a video going live on your channel at 7 o'clock. Yourself and Stats previewing tomorrow's game, and obviously chatting about everything Leeds United, I'd imagine.
We're going to look ahead to the game, talk about the history with Valencia, and then just... It'll be short, maybe like 30 minutes max, in and out. Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. Right, folks, make sure you go check out Leeds United The View. I'm going to take the dog for a walk now that the sun's gone in a bit because it was too hot earlier on. And if anything happens later on, I might be. If not, I might be asleep. All this gymming that's making me actually sleep, Joe. I have a sleep pattern now. I'm so happy, you know. I'm getting like 6 or 7 hours. It's amazing.
I've been watching you, and I've had to start running again because I'm trying to drop weight to get into a suit for my wedding. Yeah. So I've been out running, and I haven't trained in 2 years because of my hips. So trying to run, I'm on my 4th run in 2 weeks, and okay, I'm just getting a bit easier. It's getting a bit easier. I had to dig up the garden today as well, and I was just at the end of it, I'm not fit. I mean,
it's mad. Out of my arse, It was last Sunday. I was laid in bed and I was just watching reels because I've been feeling a bit shitty, obviously, with the breakup and whatnot. And it just came to me, and it was like this reel, and it just got me hooked. And I was like, no, that's it. Monday I'm off. And I think that's part of the battle. You can start, but if it ain't ready up there, it won't work. So I've started my calorie counting again. I've been running, I've been swimming, I've been going to the gym, lifting weights, man. And it's crazy what it can do for that, isn't it? A bit of exercise, to be
Absolutely.
Honest. It's mad.
Yeah, especially if you've got ADHD. Apparently cardio is the best thing for an ADHD brain. It calms it, settles it, quiets it all, quietens it down. So Meant to say as well, Max Dean's made a hell of an impact with Ghent on his debut.
Has he, yeah?
He played in their European qualifier. They were 0-0 when he came on, and he got a goal and assist, and they won 3-0.
Wow. That could be another one that we go, we fucked up there.
Is that a Jesse sale as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think it might have been.
Or was it last year? I can't remember when he left.
Yeah. It might like kickers, because even though he's gone, like, let's say he continues to smash it again, the next transfer for him will probably be to a big European side, or maybe even back to England, and that transfer fee will be massive, won't it?
Yeah, I don't know if the kickbacks we get go on to another transfer. We got 50% of the transfer again. They bought him for 2 million. We got £1 million off of that. So, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Right. Thanks very much, Joe. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you in a bit. Enjoy it. I'll be back tomorrow live from 2 o'clock, obviously, because Leeds take on Valencia, so I'll see you all then if I don't see you tonight. Peace out, folks.